Here's the wings for the ZXL. You can see I've gone through and I've pinned them on. What I did before I pinned them on, took a standing block to the Zephyr wing and the ZXL extension kit wing, and I've squared up all the ends. Everywhere everything is going to mate, I've gone through and sanded all the ends of the Z2, all the leading edges, very lightly along the trailing edges, and got everything square on all the places where they're going to match up. After I did that, I went through and I put the pieces together, made sure they line up nice all the way through and through by hand first. Once I did that, I went through and put the pins in the airplane to hold the Z2 extension wing for the ZXL right where the mating surfaces are. I held a straight edge along the trailing edge as I did it to make sure that there's no gaps and everything is lining up absolutely perfect. I also did that on the leading edge too to make sure that it's nice and square. Once you get that done, you can look down that edge, make sure that the whole thing is straight all the way down, and the next thing you're going to want to do is put it on a flat table, so this trailing edge here is this built up spot is not hanging on the table. So I went through and pinned it all together to make sure it was nice and straight like that. And then the other end here is hanging off the other end of the table, so the built up bottom side of this isn't hanging on the table and creating the distortion in the airframe and the air coil, which makes it nice and straight. So make sure it's nice and straight before you do it all the way down. The next trick that you're going to want to do is add some CA in that slit on both sides and make sure that you have a decent amount of CA in there. Hold it straight on the table, look down it, and activate it with some kicker. And once you activate it with kicker, it's going to be nice and straight. If it comes out a little bit bent or tweaked, you'll be able to straighten that out when you put the rods in. And then the rods themselves are a 110 solid fiberglass rod. But this doesn't have to be done yet. It can be done after you get your wire slits and everything else that you want to get wherever you want to put your electronics in. When I did the servos in here, I ran the servo wires and I made this hole where the spar goes a little bit deeper so I can get the extension and the servo wires out to the servo. And then once that's done, you can lay that spar in. And once you lay the spar in, you're going to want to take hobby T-pins and put those across that main spar before you CA it. And this also gives you a chance to make sure that the alignment is straight prior to locking this whole thing down with CA. So prior to locking it down, pin the heck out of it multiple places. Make sure that it looks straight. The spar is held in a good straight spot. And the spar itself is all the way down in the hole and flush with the bottom of the plane. And once it's flush with the bottom of the plane, then you'll be able to you can see how I put the pins in there. And once you put the pins in there like that, you'll be able to lock the spar down into the plane with kicker and CA. While you're doing it, make sure it's nice and straight. You're going to want to look down the wing again as you're doing it to make sure everything is nice and straight. So just keep double checking. It's the last spar. When you finally do the bottom spars and you lock the last spar in, that's the one that's going to determine how straight the actual wing is, because that's the final one that you're going to lock it down. And you're basically going to want to repeat the same exact process you do with the Zephyr 2 and in the directions with the main spars that go in this plane they are the same length and everything, same diameter and everything as the other Zephyr 1. I mean, sorry, the Zephyr 2, except they're solid. And these will probably alternate between carbon fiber and glass. I've used both, and they both seem to work really, really well. I haven't locked down which type I'm going to use yet. I'm still looking for different sources on both types. But I got a small bulk of both types right now, and we're going to go ahead and start the pre-sale with these. Seem to be very, very, very solid when you have double stacked solid I-beams. I don't want this plane to be broken down. You can build it if you want to break it down, but this plane is designed for super, super, super stable flight at medium speeds. Say, 40 to 60. That's where you're going to get the sweet spot on the video. So that's what I've designed this model for. If you get it going, way fast with the aspect ratio, you might start getting a little bit of video oscillation, but that's like 70, 80 miles an hour, and that's not what I designed this plane for. This plane is going to give you this sweet, sweet video. It's going to give you really nice low cruising speeds, very efficient, very long flight times, and really crisp and clean and smooth video. If you want to rail, absolutely rail with smooth video, you're going to probably want to get the Z2. This plane and its ratios, the sweet spots are going to be a little bit lower and slower. People have been asking for it for a while, so I've had the design for the wingtips done for quite some time, and it's just a matter of me getting this done to the next step, just like everything else. So that's the basic video on how to get the wing end on, and just pinning everything into place. You pin everything into place, it makes things so much easier. And just double check your straightness. CA works really well. I wouldn't really use hot glue on here. This foam is really rigid, and CA will work really, really well. So, you guys have any questions, hit me up. I just wanted to give you a quick heads up on how to put these pieces together. I'm going to go ahead and start a pre-sale here pretty quick, and this will at least cover the issue on that build. This build is also going to be covered in 5 mil on the wings now, and not 3. So 3 is going to be included for the balsa, because the balsa needs 3. You can't wrap the edges of the balsa with 5. It just is too thick. But you're going to have to take a little extra care to do it in 5. It's going to make it stiffer, more rigid, and a little added weight's not going to hurt anything at all. It's going to make the plane handle fly and be even more durable than the 3 mil. So now that you guys have some experience with the 3, it's time to go ahead and step up to the 5. But there she is. I'll get this video posted. I know it's rough, but at least it'll do its job.